to the Jonathan Ross Show. Let's start, as we always do, let's look in my green room and see who's on the programme tonight. My first guest is one of the hottest talents around. He starred in The Hobbit, he was in Fast and Furious, Clash of Titans, The Three Musketeers. It is the fabulous Mr. Luke Evans. Get out here. Looking handsome. My next guest is one of the most daring, honest and thought-provoking comedians around at the moment. It's Shazia Mirza. There she is. Great to have you here. Also on the show, one of our brightest new stars. He was the lead in Kingsman, a great film. He's soon to be seen as Eddie the Eagle Edwards in the film of the same title. It's Mr. Taron Egerton. Hey, Taron. Great to have you back. Good to be back. Young Taron. And also on the show, we have one of the world's best all-round entertainers. He's a huge movie star. He's won Tonys on Broadway. He's been nominated for and hosted the Oscars. It's only Wolverine himself, Mr. Hugh Jackman, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Great to be back. Great to have you here. And as if that weren't enough, we have some incredible music tonight from the legendary Primal Scream. There. Hey, ladies, how are you? Before we get to that, just a few things I need to show you. A newsreader in Australia has had an unfortunate wardrobe malfunction this week. OK, it was nothing indecent at all, but judge for yourself. This is the outfit she wore. You see? What she's done is, I'm sure everyone's done something. She's put the blouse on in the morning. It's looked fine. It's only when other people look at it from the other side, they see that. And it's one of those optical illusions, you know, like, is it two faces or a vase? Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. Like this newsreader, she appeared on TV like this, and it looks great to start with, and then you look at that shape round the top, and you think... And she wasn't to know. If why couldn't it have been a black zip? It would have been much better. She's Australian as well. Hugh, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
What's,
I know. It's not an accident, by the way. We do like a shirt with a bit of embellishment.
Yeah. I don't know. Hang on there. I'll tell you. Now, my favourite thing I found on the internet this week is called, you might have seen this, it's called When Animals Look Like Things. Has anyone seen this? So, the first one was posted on Twitter by Karen Zach, so thank you, Karen, and it's called Chihuahua or Muffin. OK, so essentially, it's a picture of chihuahuas mixed up with small pictures of muffins taken up close, and it's surprising it's quite hard to tell them apart. So have a look at this. There they all together. So you see... If you have a look at a few... Are we going to do some close-up? I think we are. So you look at it... So that's a chihuahua, right? And then this next one, that's a... Up close, you can see that's a muffin. Then have a look at another one. That's actually a chihuahua baked into a muffin. So that's... So this was my favourite one this week. I saw this. This is it Trump or raw chicken? Have a look at this. There you go. So if we're going close, what do you think that is? Is that Trump or raw chicken? That's actually Trump. That's the bit where his thigh meets his balls. That's right down there. It turns out, though, there's like a seemingly endless supply of things that look like other things. So I thought we'd test our guess power of perception. So if you don't mind, we're going to flash up a few examples, and you have to tell me what you see. Luke, I'll start with you. Is that OK?
Yep.
Luke, I'm going to show you some pictures. It's either a labradoodle or fried chicken. OK? So I'm going to show you the first one. Here, it's coming up quick. This one. Labradoodle or fried chicken?
Fried chicken.
Yes, correct. Next one. Labradoodle or fried chicken?
Labradoodle.
Yes. Last one?
Fried chicken.
No, fried labradoodle. Not bad, though. Pretty good. Hugh, we've got one for you, and this one is tailored specifically to you, if you're ready for this. This is it sweet potato or Hugh Jackman? The first one coming up now. Have a look at this.
Again.
What do you think? Hold on. Was that from your Snapchat? Have you been sending that to people?
Terrence.
OK. What do you think? Is that Hugh or sweet potato?
That was... I want to say me, but I want to say me, but it's probably sweet potato.
It was a sweet potato.
Yeah, it was.
OK, let's have a look at another one. Let's have a look. Here's another one. Hugh Jackman or sweet potato? What? It's a perfectly innocent game. You can play with your kids.
It is sweet potato, but I wish it was Hugh Jackman.
OK, you're right. Sweet potato. Last one. Hugh Jackman or sweet potato?
I'm going to say Hugh Jackman.
It was Hugh Jackman! Congratulations. 3 for 3. Who knew a sweet potato could be so powerfully erotic? Let's get my first guest out there, the stars of what I'm certain will be the feel-good film of 2016, Eddie the Eagle. It's Taron Egerton and Hugh Jackman. Here they are. do, wouldn't it? Double think.
Hi, how are you? Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice, lovely to see
Lovely
you.
to meet
Hello,
you. Yeah.
loving your work.
You're wonderful in the movie.
You're fab too.
Thank you so
Great
much.
to have you here. So, the exciting news is Eddie the Eagle, the film, opens next Friday, the 1st of April. Now, I was a young man when Eddie Eagle first burst on the scene, so I know all about him. Was he big news in Australia as well, Hugh?
Huge. He was huge. We loved him. He's like an honorary Australian. He's the ultimate in just having a go. And I do remember jumping off my mate's veranda into the pool, pretending to be Eddie the Eagle, doing all that. He was huge. They love him.
And what about you, Town? Because you are considerably younger than both of us.
This is true. I'm a lot younger than both of you.
Yeah, yeah.
It all happened in 1988.
Yes. How old were you then?
I was a twinkle in my dad's eye then.
You weren't even born?
1989 I was born, November 1989.
Wow.
Yeah. So, no, I knew nothing about the story. Matthew Vaughan, our eminent producer, he's backstage, called me about it and said, look, I know you would like to do something different after Kingsman. I think I've got this great idea for this movie about Eddie the Eagle, and he had this brilliant script, and I read it, and it was just incredible.
Were you, when he said that I guess he thought you'd be perfect for the role, then when you saw what Eddie looked like, were you a little disappointed that he'd thought that... You know what I mean? Because I love Eddie the Eagle, but he is, you know, he is a type, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, how did he sell it to you?
So, Eddie is actually a very good-looking guy now, but in 1988, you're quite right, he had quite a characterful sort of look. He had quite a prominent underbite, Coke bottle glasses.
Yeah.
It was great that Matthew felt that I could do something so different from Kingsman. It was an irresistible challenge.
And you didn't use prosthetics because you captured the face well in the film.
Thank you. No, none whatsoever.
We have the glasses here. These are the Eddie Eagle-style glasses.
I can't believe this. I've been in the show twice, and both times I've been asked to put on the Eddie the Eagle glasses.
It's quite uncanny. But how is it... That's quite remarkable. Hugh, how was it for you, though, working... Because you see Eddie...
I laughed. I just laughed. I can't do it. Every time he did the face, to this day, it just... Oh, my... And he made me laugh so much every day, and just doing that face. He is one of the funniest men I've ever met, but he's absolutely brilliant as Eddie.
Now, Hugh, in the film, you play a guy called Bronson Peary, who he kind of coaches Eddie, doesn't he? He kind of is... initially, he's reluctant, but he helps him, and he goes... But that's not a real person in the real Eddie Eagle story, is it?
No. I mean, there's a few liberties with his life to be able to tell a story. He actually had, Eddie told me, about 30 kind of coaches or people he got tips from or equipment from, but there was no one real coach. But obviously the writer just smartly sort of amalgamated all that into one guy, Bronson Peary, who was an ex-jumper and spends most of the movie trying to tell him to get lost.
Let's have a look. We'll have a look at a clip from Eddie the Eagle. It opens April the 1st. It's next Friday. Have a look at this.
You're the guy who struck the first 90 metres at Copper Peak with no headwind in 1970 opening trials, and they think you're just some old drunk.
Thanks, I think.
You could learn a lot from that Warren Sharp's book.
You've been doing your homework, have you?
I'll cut straight to the point. I'm going to be up bright and breezy tomorrow morning for some extra training.
No.
So the old drunk is teaching the English how to jump. It's fantastic. Is that milk?
I don't drink alcohol, so...
I love it. It's good. It's too good. Too good! Yeah! There's a new team in town.
Hold this for me, will you?
Milky Boy and the Piston Bully driver.
Nice step, piston bully.
Don't hurt yourself. Hey!
My jumpers do not fight. But I do.
Did I win?
Opens next Friday. It's great fun. We were talking of the face work you were doing in it, and there's a sequence in the movie in which, as Bronson, the coach, you're encouraging Eddie, I guess, to kind of be a bit more primal, to release stuff inside him.
Yeah, to really embrace the animal within.
Yeah. And you ask him to recapture the face, his love-making face.
Yes.
It's about a 5-minute sequence of you just doing love-making faces.
And to be fair, when my wife saw it, she turned to me and said, it doesn't look anything like that. And it's much quicker than it was. No. It is something like a
Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, Hugh Jackman, look at that.
That's it. So, Taron, you were in really buff shape for Kingsman.
I knew we were going to go
And then,
here.
but for this, did they ask you not? I mean, did they actually lose some of the fitness?
No, basically, Matthew Vaughn, who directed Kingsman and also produced Eddie the Eagle, held a whip behind me for Kingsman and forced me to get into shape, and he's doing the same thing now. So when he doesn't do that, Eddie the Eagle happens.
So that was more comfortable. I guess it was nice.
Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry to any fans I gained from Kingsman. That's the real me. It's not going to change anytime soon.
But that's nice. A cuddly person is nice.
Cuddly. Sure.
So, you're just about to start filming Kingsman 2?
Very soon.
That's exciting, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And what about Wolverine? You're doing one more Wolverine film, aren't you?
Yeah, one more.
Is that going to be the last time you strap on the claws?
That's the last one, with the strap on. That's the last one. Yeah, no, this is the last one. It's been 17 years. I can't believe it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And so why are you calling it a day now? Because I was reading the other day that Harrison Ford is doing yet another Indiana Jones film, which I'm thrilled, because I love seeing them on screen. And you can get away with a certain amount with, like, the smoke and mirrors that make movies.
Yeah.
You know, not so much with Wolverine, I guess, but you could carry on for a while longer.
Well, with cameos, it kind of is already eight. It feels like a lot, you know, and I've loved it, and I'm so excited about this last one. I can't, in my head, think of anything else to do with the character, but I know someone else will take over the role, and, I mean, you seem to be getting into shape. Is there something you want to share with us? Maybe you're looking to put on the cloth?
I obviously do have a Wolverine outfit at home, but it doesn't look quite the same on me. So when is that? This is the last X-Men film. Is this going to be the big X-Men film with him? Is this Armageddon, or is there a Wolverine
No, this
separate?
is just Wolverine, just solo, and we start shooting that pretty soon. So it'll come out next year sometime.
And after that, do you have plans? Because that's been such a huge part of your life. I guess that's dominated your working years to an extent.
Yeah,
hasn't it?
it's like been every 2 or 3 years for 17 years. So I'll be calling you up for jobs, and probably some people here up for jobs. So, yeah.
What about the fitness aspect of that? Because I guess that's one of the reasons why you got as ripped as you did, of course. Isn't it? And you must be. Are you kind of slightly addicted to that now? Is that because it must be such a buzz being able to do that kind of thing?
No, I'm not addicted. I mean, look, I actually do like the feeling of being strong, and I'm training way harder than I would if I wasn't in one of these movies. But it's painful. It actually hurts, and people say you get addicted to it. I'm not addicted to it. I'll be quite looking forward to having a few beers, some burgers, and just sort of, you know, hanging out. So, yeah, get ready the next time I'm on.
OK, so, you know, let me have a look at some footage I saw, because I want to show you this, because this shows you dedication, I think, to filmmaking, because we saw some stuff that Hugh had been doing while making movies to keep in shape. There's a little bit of gym footage, and this is what Hugh does. Even when he's working, he finds time to do this. Have a look at this, and we have some town footage as well to show you. So this is Hugh. So that shows you that's some serious weight there.
It actually makes a lot of sense to say things like yes and don't touch it. At the time, it makes sense. And when you watch it, it's absolutely humiliating. Don't touch it! I can do it! Yes! It's quite pathetic.
What is it you lift? What is the weight you can deadlift up from that movement?
455.
Wow. And Taron, I know that you're very dedicated to your craft as well, and we have some footage of what Taron does when he's not filming as well. And you can see, have a look at this, see how dedicated he is as well. That takes a certain amount of focus as well.
Yeah, that is...
Who was that? Was that you with your mum?
That is my poor mother, yeah.
Hey, let me ask you something. This may be a rumour that isn't... There's no truth in it at all. It may be something that's happening. There's talk going around that you may be playing the young Han Solo.
I've heard this rumour, yes. I mean, I've seen the stuff on the internet, and I think any, you know, lad of my age would kill to play a part like that. It's very, very flattering. I've no idea if there's any truth in it, but, I mean, Lucasfilm, Disney, if there is, then you know where I am.
So they haven't contacted you yet?
No, they've not, no.
Oh, well, then it won't be you.
Oh, there we are. That's that one done, isn't it? Yeah.
Hugh, have you had a call already?
Yeah, no, I know nothing about it. Yeah. But you should audition. You should. You should go for it.
It could be Chewbacca. No, I actually can't do it.
Do it.
Well, how about very good? That's the dream casting. We got the young Han Solo and the young Chewbacca right here.
Thank you very, very much. You know, multi-talented, I guess.
It's the best thing I've ever seen you do. We're going to take a break, but I'll be back with the guys straight after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I am still here with Hugh Jackman and Taron Egerton. But let's get my next guest out. She's brilliantly funny, she's insightful and she's provocative. It is the fabulous Shazia Mirza.
Thank you very much.
Have you met you on town before? Shazia, lovely to have you on. Were you enjoying that from the sound of things?
It was wonderful to look at.
OK, so I know you as a comedian. I know of your work as a comedian, but it wasn't your first choice necessarily. You were a teacher for some while before, weren't you?
Yeah, I used to be a science teacher. They hated me and I hated them. Right. And I taught in a lot of rough schools. I used to teach in Tower Hamlets and Dagenham. I
believe one of your pupils went on to great fame himself. You taught the young Dizzy Rascal.
That's right, I did. Well, I tried to.
Wow. He's a lovely... I find him to be a charming company. He was a very energetic young man. I can imagine his focus wasn't always on the front of the classroom.
That's right. He was... Actually, he loved music. He used to run out of my lesson and go, I'm going to the music room. And I have to always drag him out of the music room and go, get out of here, put your banjo down, you're coming to my lesson. And he'd go, I hate your lesson, I hate your lesson. And, but he just loved music. He was never about the fame or the money.
If you were to bump into him, would he still think of you as his teacher, do you think?
Well, I met him a couple of years ago. I went to a screening of a film and I was walking up the red carpet and all I heard behind me was this voice going, Oi, miss! Miss! I turned round and it was him and I said, you don't have to call me miss anymore, you know. We're not at school and it sounds a bit sordid.
Have either of you, have you ever bumped into old teachers of yours in unexpected places?
Yeah, and you don't know what to call them. You call them Mr. It's ridiculous, but surely they thought you were funny. I'm sitting here going, they must have thought you were funny.
Do you know, they used to say to me, this is so boring, miss, you're not funny, go home.
Really?
Yeah, so do you know what I did? I used them as material. So he's in my act now, and I'm making money out of him.
One of the things I know in your comedy, you talk about your upbringing. You talk about a fairly strict Muslim upbringing. Is that correct?
Yeah, my parents are both Muslim. They're very religious. My mother, she wears the burqa, mainly because she doesn't want to be seen with my dad. I don't know what the big deal is, you know. All the women in my family, they all wear the burqa, and it's great because they all use the same bus pass.
That's a real positive, right?
It's a positive, but, you know, I did have a very strict Muslim upbringing. I was never allowed out of the house.
So this is seriously, yeah, it was a strict time?
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I wasn't allowed to have the friends that I wanted. I wasn't allowed to have boyfriends. I wasn't allowed to have sex. Wow. God, if only I'd known at the time. No big deal. Nobody has sex these days anyway. You lot don't, otherwise you wouldn't be here tonight. Yeah. I mean, it's been such a long time now, I don't think about it anymore. I think the only way I'm going to get it now is if it snows heavily and someone slips in. No, don't feel sorry for me. Well, I've got a couple of degrees and I've got a lot of reading done.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I go skiing.
Very good. We've got a possibility right there. OK, now, so... You're from Birmingham?
Yes, obviously I don't live there anymore because I'm doing well.
OK. Your parents, though, they came up from Pakistan, I believe?
They came from Pakistan to Birmingham, so not much difference. In the 1960s.
So that must have been quite a culture shock for them when they first arrived.
Well, do you know what? They were desperate to be British. They were so... They really wanted to be like the British. Like my dad, he's called Mohammed, but he abbreviates it to Bob. And And I'd come home and there'd be calendars of Samantha Fox on the kitchen wall, like naked pictures of women in haystacks. And we'd say to him, what are you doing? And he'd say, well, you know, John down the road, he's got one of these, so I had to get one. Because that's what all the British men are doing, you know. He's Welsh.
They must be... hold on, you used to holiday in Wales when you were young, didn't you?
Well, the first holiday that we ever went on was in a caravan in Cardigan Bay, because my dad went, oh, you know, all the British are staying in caravans, let's go and do it. And we got there, and we had to come home after 4 days, because he didn't like using the toilets. He was like, I'm all for the British, but this is too much.
What, like lack of proper sanitation?
Yeah. Really? And then came from Pakistan.
Well, this isn't Wales in general. This was a caravan site, I think.
So too. Yeah, I'm sure we're very, very clean in Aberystwyth.
Yeah. But you're from that town with the long, long name, aren't you?
Well, that's where I went to primary school, yeah, but I moved to Aberystwyth when I was about 11.
Was that just because it was harder to pronounce the original place? What's the name of the big town?
You really want me to do it?
Yeah, because
I'm so... You really want me to do it?
I'm so excited. You know where he's from.
I've been trying for 4 months to say it. I can't say it. Come on.
It requires some vocal warm-ups. You know.
Taryn, can I ask you not to do that thing with your lips again?
No?
Do it again. It's amazing.
See, that's what you missed in Cardigan Bay. Wow, that... Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Well, you know, Luke, because you speak Welsh as well, of course, don't you? A little bit of Welsh.
Yeah, conversational, not as good as I once was.
Because we have Luke. Luke's on the show this evening, and he is also from Wales, and I believe he is also fluent in Welsh.
He looks how I feel.
I can say that town though.
Well, anyone can say I can say it. If you can say it,
say it.
Say it.
Llanfair Pwllgwyn Gilco Garich yn drobl Llantysilio go go go.
When Luke did it, I'll be honest, I don't want to be critical, but that sounded more Welsh because he did the... you know,
The Arabic.
Yeah. I don't know whether he was going that far east. OK. So your parents, though, they must be pretty proud of your success now. They must look at you and see what you've achieved.
They're actually in denial. Like, people stop my dad in the street in Birmingham and they'll go, oh, you know, we saw your daughter on TV, and he'll go, yes, that is right. But, you know, she really has a degree in biochemistry. The comedy, she'll get over it.
So, but what about when you met the Queen? Your mum and dad, they must have thought this is quite a milestone. One of our daughters meeting Wildly.
Finally, we are British. Our daughter has met the Queen. We're British. It's true, I met the Queen. I've met the Queen 3 times, but the last time I met her, the reason I went to the palace is because the Indian Prime Minister was coming to Britain. I'm not Indian. But the Queen thought, I know, let's gather up some Indians and people who look Indian.
To make him feel at home,
and get them to the palace.
Yeah.
They asked me to bring 2 forms of ID, like a driver's licence or a passport. I got so nervous, I knew I wasn't meant to be there. I took my gas bill just in case. This perception that the Queen talks like this, and it's true, she really does talk like this. And I was standing in line to meet her. I put my hand out to shake her hand, and she went, and what do you do? And I started talking like that as well. And she went, and what do you do? I went, I'm a comedian! And I felt my Birmingham accent going up 3 social registers. And then she said to me, oh, do you do any TV? And I said, yes, I do some. And she said, do people recognise you? And I thought, obviously not. And then she said, the same thing happens to me.
What? Now, hang on. Hold
No,
it. People
honestly,
don't recognise the Queen.
She went, the same thing happens to me. You know, sometimes I go shooting in the country and people look at me and they go, I know you. And I think, you don't know me. Where do you know me from? I wanted to say, you're the Queen.
You've met the Queen, surely, Hugh?
I met her at some royal event where people were performing, and we lined up at the back, and she came up to me, and I was told, I was told not to ask her questions.
That's
and all.
Right,
there's
yeah.
a whole lot of protocol. I couldn't help myself, and she came up to her. I thought, I'm never going to meet her again. You know, I'm some bloke from Australia, and here I am. And she came up to me and she said, hello, and Cameron McIntosh said, oh, this is Hugh Jackman, he's from Australia. And he said, oh, you're Australian. I said, yes, actually today in Australia is your birthday, Mum, because it was her Queen's birthday in Australia, it's in June. And she said, oh, really? And she, and she turned to her aide and said, is that true? And the aide said, like that, and she said, yes. And I said, well, happy birthday. She said, well, thank you. And that was it.
Well, let me ask you about shaving of bodily hair, Shazia, because Shazia made a documentary series for BBC Three back when it was on TV, before it went online. And this was... now, what was the purpose behind this? This was to kind of embrace the idea of women not having a shave, or what was it?
It was called F Off, I'm a Hairy Woman. And it was basically because a lot of women feel that men are prejudiced towards hairy women. And, I mean, I'm very hairy, and Asian women are very hairy. My mother's very hairy. She's got a beard and a moustache. She started to bleach her facial hair. I've told her to stop this now, because when she gets in a lift under the lights, she looks like Father Christmas. And it was all about how to... This is all true.
None
of these are jokes, it's just my life. Do you have a question? You've got your mouth open.
No, it's just that... that's the natural face I pull when I think about hairy women. Jonathan looked like he was going to ask me something, which
I wondered whether you'd encountered a hairy woman.
Yeah.
OK.
That makes me sound like I'm promiscuous.
Do you like hairy women? You don't, do you?
I don't mind it, actually, I have to say,
because all women are hairy.
Yeah, well, exactly, they just shave it off, right? It's really not, it's not a problem for me, personally, anyway.
OK. So you're easy, yeah?
I'm totally easy.
You know what's great is none of us knew you'd be asked about that tonight, Towan, and you've handled it very, very well, young man.
I'm up for anything.
That's the Eddie the Eagle spirit right there.
Because, you know, women, they do a lot of shaving, plucking, lawn mowing, all this kind of thing.
But they used to do more than they do now, I think.
Oh, my God, yeah. I mean, now they have these... Women have these things called Brazilians. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I've encountered that as well.
What, you
Sorry, Mum.
Oh, it wasn't your mum's, was it? What are you talking about? Why would he talk about that? Why would you do that?
Wrong, mate.
I know.
Has your mum had one?
Oh, my word. No, I've no idea. I have no desire to know whether... I can't believe we're talking about my mum's Brazilian. This is... I feel I've stumbled into a nightmare.
The thing is, young women, you're right, they have these Brazilian, they have everything off. I mean, I went for a Brazilian. I had the Gaza Strip. Very popular on the Edgware Road. I mean, it's all the rage now, but I think we should go back to letting it all grow out.
Let it happen. You can trim it. You don't have to take it all off. That's the you know...
So you don't anymore nothing after this documentary? No.
Well, I grew my body hair for 7 months for the documentary, and it was really weird because people really react to you in a strange way. I got on the tube, and I had a lot of makeup on, but I had hairy legs. And this woman came up to me and she said, "Listen, love, I know what you're going through. And I totally understand. Here's my number if you ever want to talk." And she thought I was going through a sex change operation. Oh, wow. But it's weird how people react, you know, to hairy women.
But you guys, do you shave or do you wax your backs, cracks, sacks? Hold on.
Here we go, look at this!
Oh,
That's what I'm talking about.
Proud.
Yeah.
Proud.
Yeah.
Don't do it up.
I used to pay my kids to shave my back.
And that's like not as weird as my mum's Brazilian.
Right, maybe we should take a break, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just tell you, the very funny Shazia Mirza is on tour right now. It's called The Kardashians Made Me Do It. That's the title of the tour. If you want to find out exactly what they made her do, you've got to go and see her live. But I think you agree she's very funny. Shazia Mirza, ladies and gentlemen. Still to come on the show, we'll be joined by the fabulous Mr. Luke Evans, and we have great music from Primal Scream. See you after this. show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get my next guest out, shall we? He is a fantastic actor from The Hobbit, Fast and Furious, and from the stunning new dystopian thriller High Rise, based on the great British novel by J.G. Ballard. It is Mr. Luke Evans, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you're looking great. Luke, it's great to have you on the show.
Please don't talk about Brazilians.
OK, no, we won't even
I'm
start
not showing
on
you mine.
Well, you know, we have a bit of a thing going on here. Obviously, your performance, but Taryn is Welsh, of course. Shazia, we know, holidayed in Wales for 3 or 4 days. How important is that to you? Do you consider yourself Welsh?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, especially when we win at rugby.
Yeah.
Even when we don't, I still feel very Welsh, but it's better when they do. No, I'm very Welsh. I have a... I don't know about most... I don't know about your family, but my family, they love a bargain. There's nothing like a bargain. So there's no Oxfam or second-hand store in South Wales that my mother hasn't visited.
Wow.
You were telling me about your shoes. You were lucky you got there before my mother did.
£10.
Wow.
She'd have had them. Yeah. She'd have knocked them down.
So your mum goes into charity shops and haggles?
Oh, yeah. She does. Wow. Yeah, but and I've gained it. I live in East London. I can't walk past a pound shop without having a look around, you know, see what I can find.
But you
ask
can't...
them the price. How much is this?
But you can't...
And this?
They don't let you haggle in the pound shop, do they?
No,
that
they
would
don't,
undercut the whole philosophy of the pound shop.
There's often fights in the pound shop, which I've found, which is quite funny.
That's you, is it? You're starting fights. That's too bloody much.
That's too bloody much, that is mine.
But you don't speak any Welsh, actually, because Taryn can speak Welsh.
No, I don't. No, the Valleys were lucky if we can speak English. And I think there's more Welsh speakers now in the Valleys, but where you're from, it's proper Welsh.
Generally, I think the further north you go, the more
snobby they become.
Yeah. Wow.
It's true, they get proper Welsh. I used to be a door-to-door salesman when I was 16.
Wow, what did you sell?
Selling draft proofing. Government-funded draft proofing.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have had an exciting life.
Wonderful life. Come a long way.
You know, we're talking to Shazia about her upbringing, and she had a fairly strict religious upbringing, and you were raised as a Jehovah's Witness, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
And was that were there strict rules there?
Very strict. Yeah, it's quite a strict upbringing, and, you know, we knocked doors on the weekends, and you get a lot of doors slammed in your face, and it's quite an experience for a young child to experience that, but I am truly, you know, I've got thick skin now. It's as an actor, it worked to my favour, really.
And what got the worst reception from people when you knocked on the door? Was it the Jehovah's Witness message, or was it the government-funded grafting schools?
Well, no, definitely Jehovah's Witnesses. Unfortunately, but you know, we had some people that listened, and so it was something interesting. But the reason I said about the drafts excluding, because I used to work in Llanelli, and if you knocked on a Welsh-speaking person's door and you said the introduction in English, they'd slam the door in your face for not speaking Welsh.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. Anyway, back to the point.
No, I could do hours on draft excluding. So.
Yes, I love talking about draft.
What kind of draft excluding was it?
Oh, such a
How much of the draft did it actually exclude? Well, let me talk about The Hobbit, because The Hobbit was a huge part for you to get in that film, in that sequence of films, back in 2014. And I guess Peter Jackson shot them all in New Zealand, didn't he?
He did, yeah. He doesn't like leaving home.
So
he does it all in this amazing place in Wellington. We got these beautiful studios, and obviously we get to live there and experience... This is an extraordinary place.
And you were in the last 2, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
How long were you out there for? How long did you film for?
All in all, a year.
Oh, so not that long, really, then?
Well, I mean, I could have shot 4 movies in that time, but it's a slow process. And when we finished shooting, we only thought it was 2 movies. And then about a month after we'd wrapped, they decided to cut it into 3.
Do you have memorabilia? Do you keep things? If I was on a film like The Hobbit, I would be stealing stuff. I would take home some Hobbit's feet and stuff like that. You know, I would have a collection. Do you have stuff?
Yeah, I've got... we had a big... you remember the big scene where the Master of Lake Town leaves in this big barge full of coins
Stephen
and money?
Fry is escaping.
Stephen Fry, yeah. And I nicked a couple of those coins and took a few of those, stuffed them in the pockets every time. I kept finding them everywhere, and I was like, well, someone's going to take them, so I might as well. So,
you love a bargain, we know
I
that.
love a bargain.
You can take this in the pawn shop.
There's a hefty price on eBay as well. It's quite impressive. Yeah.
What about the weapons, though? Do you have the bow?
I do. I actually have the arrow, the black arrow that
kills
Smaug. Yeah, they sent it.
Oh, hold it. This is the picture you brought in. This is from your house, is that right?
That's my house. Yeah, that's the back of my house, and it's funny because Bart has it above his dinner table, so I thought it better be above mine. So,
Also, be handy if ever you get burgled.
True. Or you've got a big piece of turkey stuck in the front. To you. Yeah.
Do you have memorabilia? Do you save? You must have saved at least one set of claws, I imagine.
I've got a few of those.
Wow.
Yeah, for the retirement. That's what I'm going to sell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And when their kids are not doing their homework, it works. You know, but I remember on the very first X-Men, on the last day of shooting, there was a knock on my trailer door. I was getting changed, ready for the last thing, and my costume designer came with a plastic bag, like a garbage bag. I said, "What's that?" She said, "Take this." And I looked inside. It was one of the X-Men suits. And there were 10 X-Men suits at different stages of being ripped apart. And I said, "What's that?" She said, "The other 9 have already been taken. They're already gone. Just keep this one." And I was like, "Oh, OK." So I kept it.
Wow.
Yeah, everything just gets nicked.
Do you ever put it on just for yourself? Do you ever walk around, you know...
My wife quite likes it on a Saturday night.
Taron, do you have anything from Kingsman?
With the hair. With the hair.
I have the watch from Kingsman, the watch with the sleeper darts.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's really, really cool. And I have 2 pairs of Eddie the Eagle glasses as well.
That's
that I wear on a Saturday night.
So now, after The Hobbit, did you find yourself that suddenly you got recognised more? Because that was kind of a big breakthrough for you, I would have thought. Is that fair to say?
Well, it was, but because it happened over 3 years, and the first one came out and I wasn't in it, and then I had to wait another year, and then I was only in a bit of that, and then the third one came out. But it's a weird thing being recognised. It took a while for me, but I think it was 3 films that did it, and it was Fast and the Furious and Bard and Dracula.
What's the worst place you've been approached for a selfie, for example?
This is unbelievable. I went to the gym with a friend of mine in a gym I don't usually go to in town, and it was very busy, and it was like lunchtime, and we did training, went had a shower, and I was getting changed, and literally pulling my pants up, and this guy came
so
over,
you're naked?
Naked, with my ass to the room, pulling up my pants, and this guy went, "Excuse me, can I just have a selfie?" Like this. Wow. And I'm like, "No, bloody God!" Pushed him away. He was ready to take one. Like,
we have that picture now. Sadly not, but we're hoping someone will send it in. So here's exciting news. If you are a fan of grown-up science fiction films, you know, a kind of dark and perhaps even disturbing view of the future, then you are going to love the film Lucy Now. It's based on a book by the man I consider probably the greatest British writer, that kind of thing, J.G. Ballard. High Rise, an incredible and very challenging piece of work in some ways. How would you describe the actual story?
Well, basically, it's about a high-rise where people are living in this high-rise, and slowly they start to break the rules. Rules are forgotten, they stop going to work. Socially, they start to break up. And my character is in the book called the Agitator, and basically he just starts to stir up the trouble. And people start becoming very primal in their existence. There's a lot of sex, there's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of partying, there's a lot of hedonism, anarchy, and you sort of, it starts here, goes up, and then it just plummets.
Yeah, it gets crazy. And it's interesting because you have very much a class system within this very kind of like 90s, 70s looking building that the whole film is set in, this high-rise, with the kind of people who are, I guess, the lower class people, the lower earners at the bottom, and the rich people very much out of touch at the top, and it's the friction between them, I guess.
And it's very clear that, you know, the ones at the bottom, weirdly, he gave me a Welsh accent, which I didn't think mattered that much, but it sort of did, because in the 70s, you know, the Welsh had a bit of a chip on their shoulder. We were, you know, we were miners at that time, and I sort of channeled a lot of that stress and aggression that the Welsh had from the valleys with the mines and Thatcher and all that stuff. I wanted to bring that sort of a man who was fighting for his rights and trying to climb the ladder, and he, you know, he's like a crazy Pied Piper on acid at one point, taking the children to the swimming pool.
It does look incredible as well. I mean, Ben Wheatley is a director who has a unique kind of, you know, look and very great visual style as well. This is High Rise. It's out now, and it's an incredible experience. This is High Rise.
For all its inconveniences, Lang was satisfied with life in the high rise.
I'm so sorry.
I'll survive.
I thought you were empty.
I just moved in.
You're an excellent specimen.
I put all my energies into this town, but I am the architect of my own accident.
Is that a horse?
Probably.
On the 40th floor.
Your husband appears intent on colonizing the sky. And who can blame him when you look at what's going on at street level?
We pay the same charges as the top floors. We want our fair share of the power.
Teething problems. Building's still settling.
Doesn't it seem odd that a man can fall from the 39th floor and not one police car turn up? Where's the sirens?
What have you got there?
A kaleidoscope.
What can you see through that thing?
The future.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. It's out now in cinema, starring Luke Evans. Let's say thank you to Mr. Luke Evans, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more from all our guests, and we have fantastic live music from Primal Scream, so don't go away. Welcome back to the show. All my guests are still here, ladies and gentlemen. We have more to come. So, you know, I was excited about maybe doing the show, and I hope you guys don't mind playing along with this, but when reading up on you all, and having met you in the past, Hugh, I know that there's a common link here, not so much for us, Shazza, but I'm sure we can join in, is that your first big break in Australia, certainly on stage, was in Beauty and the Beast, wasn't it?
Beauty and the Beast.
What part did you play in Beauty and the Beast?
Gaston.
Gaston. There we are. In Gaston. And I heard you were stunning. Now, they're making a live-action movie of Beauty and the Beast, and the part of Gaston in that film, songs and all, is going to be played by none other than Luke Evans.
Not as large as that.
So I'm hoping, you haven't got the Hugh-style guns yet, have you?
No.
But look at that.
I've done it. Shot it.
Yeah, you got the...
I've shrunk again now. Okay. No, I was never that size.
Now, then, while chatting here in the commercial break, I discovered that Taron has also appeared in Beauty and the Beast. First of all, where was your production on? It was a pretty big place, wasn't it?
It was in Melbourne, Princess Theatre, 1996.
Wow. That's the big theatre. And
You were
yours
7.
Yours is the musical is going to be at the cinemas. You also appeared in Beauty and the Beast, Taron. Can you tell us what part you played and where?
I played LeFou, Gaston's sidekick, Aberystwyth Arts Centre, 2006.
Wow. Now, I've seen Beauty and the Beast many times. Shazzy, you've seen it as well?
Yeah, yeah.
OK. But I thought maybe we could encourage the guys to have a sort of a Gaston face-off. Maybe sing one of the great songs from Beauty and the Beast, and our audience here can decide for us, I mean, not who is the best Gaston,
no,
but
who is the best.
Certainly who is the best. Are you up for this challenge, gentlemen?
Yeah.
OK, shall we do this? All right, well, let's go. I've got lyric sheets.
I need lyric sheets.
You don't need these. We should have... if we're going to play Villagers, I have this behind there. Does he carry one of these?
He does.
Oh, he bashes. OK, there you go.
Bashes
I should have had one in, like, a little baby sham glass. All right. OK, so...
We should give a line to LeFou.
Doesn't it start? Gosh, it disturbs me to see you, Gaston.
Yeah, all right, all right.
Down in the dumps. OK, we'll do it from here. It's fine, I can do it from here anyway.
I can now start working with Mariah Carey. What's that? It's unbelievable. Taking over. OK.
Let's see it together.
Well, one's slick as Gaston, no one's quick as Gaston.
No one's neck is incredibly thick as Gaston.
Well, there's no man in town half as manly.
Perfect, a pure paragon.
We'll take this.
You can ask any Tom, Dick or Stanley, and they'll tell you whose team they prefer to be on. No one fights like Gaston, douses lights like Gaston.
In a wrestling match, nobody bites like Gaston.
Oh, there's no one as pearly and brawny.
As you see, I've got biceps to spare.
Scrawny.
Every last inch of me's covered in hair.
I like Terrence Miles. In a spitting match, nobody spits like Gaston.
I'm especially good at expectorating.
But I ate 4 dozen eggs every morning to help me get large.
And now that I'm grown, I eat 5 dozen eggs, so I'm roughly the size of a ball.
Like Gaston. Makes those cute like Gaston.
And goes tromping around wearing boots looks like a star. I use antlers in all of my decorating.
That was as chaotic as well. Now come back over, relax. I think we have a hit on our hands. That was about as slick a piece of TV as you're ever going to see. OK, I've got to say thank you to my guests. Guys, thank you for being here tonight. You were all spectacular company and so much fun. Mr. Hugh Jackman, ladies and gentlemen, Taron Egerton, Jazia Mirza, and of course Luke Evans right there. Thank you so much. So now performing the track from their fantastic new album, Chaos Moses. The track is Where the Light Gets In. It is, of course, the one and only Primal Scream.
Static deception, take it to fire, lines of desire, sunset, peace begins with them. I'm never gonna try again. Sunset, peace begins with them. The world is a place where the light gets in. Temptation, transgression, the second way actors, sunset, peace begins with them. I'm never gonna try again. Sunset, peace begins with them. The world is a place where the light gets in. Sunset, peace begins with them. I'm never gonna try again. Sunset, peace begins with them. The world is a place where the light gets in.
Sunset, peace begins within. I'm never gonna try again. Sunset, peace begins within.
The world is a place where the light gets in. Sunset, peace begins with them. I'm never gonna try again. Sunset, peace begins with them. The world is a place where the light gets in. The world is a place where the light gets in. The world is a place where the light gets in. The world is a place where the light gets in. The world is a place where the light gets in.
Primal Scream!
Next tonight, all the latest ITV Weekend news, and then Meet the Cats That Like to Swim. The story of cats continues tomorrow night at 8, and the concluding episode of Julian Fellowes' latest adaptation, Dr. Thorne, is at 9. And if you missed it tonight, you can catch Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway all over again on the ITV Hub now.